Hey everyone. So today I think we're just going to mess with some circles and lofts and some pipes. So let's just jump into Grasshopper and we'll, like I said, we'll just start off with a circle. I'll do this one. I'm just going to type in 15 for now. We can mess with that a little later. Okay, and then just for visual, um, my visuals, I guess, I'm going to just rotate it 90 degrees so we can see it more in an elevational view. Change the from radians to degrees, and then we're going to rotate in the XZ plane here, right there, and then we'll just type in 90 really quickly. There we go. Let's do the YZ plane actually, just because I don't want to rotate the Rhino thing, and that's how lazy I am. Okay, and then from here, what I'm going to do is type in perp, and we're going to do perp frames, so perpendicular frames. By default, I think it's at 10. We're just going to type in 11 really quickly, just so we can have some variations on here. All right, and then from here, I'm just going to type in, let's do polygon, and I'm going to do 5 sides for now, and maybe we'll just do 4 for now, so it's more of a box, and then we'll play with that later. And for the radius on that, I'm just going to type in 5. Okay. And then from here, what I'm going to do is type in rotate. And remember, we're going to rotate these polygons. We'll change the radians to degrees here for the angle. And then the plane in which we're rotating is based on the frames in the perpendicular frames battery. So let's plug that back over to there. And for now, let's type in 55. Basically, as you can see, if we turn everything off here, you'll notice these are all going to rotate 55 degrees and so on, right? And so let's make it a little bit different, and we'll type in series, and we'll plug that into that the degrees number slider, and then the count's going to go over to our frame number. We'll plug that series into our rotate, and so each one is in a series of rotations. And from here, we're just going to type in loft, just like so. And so as you can see here, you can start to get a pretty crazy shape relatively quick. But one thing is that it's not connected. So if we go back over to our loft and go into loft options by right-clicking, we can select closed loft, and that'll be a closed poly surface there. So again, you can go really, really crazy, wherever you wish. Get some really cool different variations with a really easy little script here. All right, and then next, what we're going to do is let's type in deconstruct brep, just like that. And from here, I'm going to go over to my lunchbox tab. We're going to use just the quads. And basically, we're going to try to divvy these up into little teeny square panels. So for that, I'm going to type in 200. I don't know which side or which U or V is actually going to divide that up nicely. Not that one. We're going to have to do the U. Perfect. You'll see they're pretty nice little squares. And I don't think we need to touch the V. I think by default it's just 10, and that looks pretty good to me. And from here, we're going to type in area. That'll give us area centroid, which is a point on center with each one of those panels. And then we're going to type in CP, and that'll be surface closest point. And that's going to go to our area centroid, and we need to plug it back into the panels here. And then if we type in evaluate surface, we're going to plug the UV point into the UV, and we'll plug the surface into our panels. And that's going to give us all the normals on each one of these. And basically what we're going to do is push the centroid out from the face with the vector of the normal. So I'm going to type in amplitude to use the normal. And then we can give it a number. Let's do, I don't know, 3 for now. We can change that later, obviously. And we're going to just type in move. And we're going to move the area centroid and the normal vector. And then if we turn all this off, what we should end up with, and if we type in line, so this is going to be our B, into the area centroid and turn off our points, we'll start to get something that looks pretty kind of almost furry. So I want these to actually go the opposite direction. So all I'm going to type in is negative, plug that into our number slider, put it back into the amplitude. You'll see we're starting to get some kind of furriness happening relatively quick. I'm going to extend them out quite a ways, just like that. So we start to get really pretty overlap happening. Okay, and then from here, all I'm going to do is type in pipe. And we'll do a mesh pipe. I'm going to leave this relatively low, so I'm going to do 3 segments, just like so. I'm going to hide this, and then I'm going to type in join since we have a lot of curves. And I'm going to flatten that so it just joins to 1. And the radius, I'm just going to say it's 0.09, for instance. Just low number, because these are going to kind of be almost kind of like fur. We'll plug that into there. So the reason why I hid that was basically it's going to calculate the visualization for that twice. When we have the mesh, it's one different, or it's just one particular object. With the mesh pipe, it's like how many? 8,000 individual objects that's got to visually kind of process. That'll speed up your modeling. And let's just bake that out and see what it looks like. Let's go to rendered view. It's looking pretty cool so far. Getting some really pretty areas in here. That's looking really cool. All right, and I think just to accentuate like these areas where it's kind of almost intersecting itself, I think we'll put some mesh spheres on there. So if I type in sphere, should be a mesh sphere, and then for the UV, let's type in 7, put in the U and the V. The radius, I'm going to put in 1.125 just to make it a little bit bigger than the actual mesh pipe. I'm going to copy and paste the mesh join up there. We'll hide this again. And so the base point for each one of these, I'm going to put it on the outside. So we have little teeny spheres going on, and we could make them a little bit bigger. Get kind of a sea creature look. And then I think just to show off the interior design surfaces that we're using, I'm going to put it on the area centroid too. So we have some space on the inside as well. And then if we bake that out, start to get this really cool, almost sea creature-like object in here. So I might do this twice with the mesh spheres, because these ones, they look all right, but I kind of want to fill the gaps in between them. So I'm just going to hit undo and just copy and paste this up. Okay, and I'm just going to plug one of them into the area, and then we'll disconnect, holding control from the second one. We'll make the inside ones just a bit bigger so we can see some overlap happening. Not too big. And then if we bake all 3 of those out, there we go. So we kind of have a solid form on the inside, and then we allow some spacing on the outside here. Looks pretty cool. If we take away the pipes, you still get a pretty cool flowy looking thing really quick. I just like kind of the skeletal looking thing on the outside there, I think. Really cool. Now I wonder if we add in another variable to this just to add some kind of fluidity to it. Let's go way back to our circle here. Let's do a little twist action with it. So if we go to our transform tab, go to morph, let's go to twist. And basically what it's asking for is the geometry. So we'll just go back to our circle that we rotated. I'm going to go back to here. Let's hide these real quick so we can see what we're doing. Okay, and what it's asking for is an axis in which the rotation's happening, the angle, and we can change that to degrees. I'm going to type in 68 for now. Not quite sure. It could be 100, doesn't matter. And then we need a line in which it's going to rotate. So let's just type in XYZ to create a couple points. And we're going to twist it in the Z direction. So I'm just going to type in 15 dot, and we'll plug it into the Z. From here, we'll create a line. Okay, And then what I'm going to do is just type in negative. So it's going 15 up, 15 down. So we got a longer line, and that's going to be the axis in which it's going to be twisted. Awesome. Do that. So now we can kind of see what we're doing. So if we change the angle, let's say to 100, for instance, we start to twist that circle. Now to apply that, I'm just going to hide all these. We just go back over and connect it to perpendicular frames. It'll take a little time to load up, but it'll be quick. Oop, we have it hidden actually, so that was really quick. There we go. Awesome. It's looking really cool. Let's bake that out, see what it looks like. Excellent. It's looking pretty crazy. I might decrease the size of the polygon that we put on the perpendicular frames, I think, just to kind of thin it up just a hair. Let's type in Grasshopper one more time. Let's make that polygon quite a bit smaller. Go back to shaded viewport so we can see what we're doing. That's looking pretty cool. Then let's increase the rotation. Let's say to 200. Let's do a full 180. See what that gives us. That might be a little bit too crazy. Let's bring that down. Okay. Looking pretty cool. And if we go back up to our rotation on the perpendicular frames, just crank that all the way up and see what happens. Yeah, it's looking all right. Might be a little bit too much for me. Let's crank it down. That might not be enough. Getting some goofiness happening in here. Let's bring it up. Let's try 68. Let's do 70 maybe. Looks pretty good. There's still some goofiness happening with the waft. And a little bit lower. That looks pretty good to me. Still getting kind of the cool effects happening. Now what if we change how big the axis is? Let's try 5. There we go. Looking pretty cool like that. Looking really cool. Okay. And then let's kind of beef this up maybe a little bit. Polygon radius. Make it a little bit fatter. It's pretty sweet. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Very cool. Pretty organic with a relatively simple script or definition. Really cool. All right, and I'm gonna just try one more thing. I think the radius should be lower. Let's do just 3 again. See what that looks like rendered. And you'll notice, like, if we change the radius, the outside mesh balls, they get a little bit closer packed. Pretty crazy looking. All right, and then let's go back to the twist function. And I'm just going to turn that to, let's just do 5th maybe. Where's that taking us? It's pretty cool the way it is there. I wonder if we turn up the rotation. We're not getting a lot of rotation, I guess. Let's try 90. I figured if we're going to have a twist in it, better make it worth it. So that looks pretty good to me right there. So that might be our view. So I'm just going to bake that out and see what we get. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Definitely like it. Let's try one more thing. The sides of the polygon. Let's bump that up to 5. And we'll have more geometry, but we might have more striping happening with the rotation. There we go. That's much better. Very cool. Yeah, so I think this might be the view right in here. Awesome. Let's go with it. All right. So let's go back to shaded and let's do some material stuff real quick. I'm just going to change the inside one to stainless, the outside one to, let's say, dark, and the interior, let's just say bronze for now. And I think yeah, it looks pretty cool even in shaded. And I think we're going to do kind of these cliffs that are jetting out of the ground for this one. Well, let's see how it looks first. So using bounding box just to make a simple ground plane here. And I'm going to just type in rebuild. 125 by 125 is great. I'm going to lock down our object really quick. And we're going to turn our points on like usual. Go to select tab, select brush. And to do kind of like cliffs that are kind of jetting out, I typically just kind of go through, make it where they're going to go. And try to add some layers in for the first kind of selection. So make it kind of thicker here. We'll do the same for the other side. Oops, wrong way. Gotta have a viewport there. Okay. Do something like that. Awesome. And then we'll bring that up a ways, and then we'll deselect, hitting escape, use the brush tool again. Let's just go inward with it. And this part doesn't have to be perfect. So if you make little kind of loops like that, it'll basically kind of generate more like a rock-like texture. So like portions are popping up and going down. Right here, I'm going to do just about the same thing. Okay. Just like that. Okay, we'll bring those up. And we'll do it again. So I'm just going to go through just like this. So I'm going to bring up this side. Let me do that again. This doesn't have to be perfect. So what we're going to end up doing is smoothing this all out. So, you know, basically it doesn't have to be perfect. You could select stuff on the ground. You know, it's going to turn out just fine. Okay, do the same thing. Lift it up. Maybe some more than others. So we have different kind of flutes happening. So I'll just take out these. Maybe take out these and maybe these. Okay, we'll just bring it up again. And then we need a taller one than the other, so I'm just going to bring that one up. This one will go up. And then typically on these, what I'll do is make them quite a bit smaller so they come kind of to a head. Bring this one up a little bit taller, shrink it down, holding shift on our gumball tool. Again for here, do the same thing. Okay, and then a lot of times I'll just selectively go through and bring portions down. Or bring portions up too. Just to make it somewhat rock-like. Like that. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to smooth it all out anyway. Especially through here. Bringing it down will add more kind of variations to the rock. Okay. Just like that. And like that. Awesome. And again, let's do that again to the top here. Looks great. This one might be a hair too big. Let's just bring it all the way down like that. And then I'm going to just simply type in smooth. We'll smooth it all out, just like so. That's looking pretty good. And then for the last step, we'll turn our points on again. And this one's kind of, if you like it the way it is, don't do this step, but I usually just kind of go through and figure out kind of a contour around the whole thing. Try to just almost trace it. And then you can start to create almost like these little shelves coming up. Again, you don't have to do this step, but it adds definitely to what it looks like. Okay, now if we do that, type in smooth. There we go. Just adds a little bit. This part here I'm not entirely happy with, so I'm just going to take them, bring it down. There we go. Nice little shelves there. And we'll do the same for over here. Just bring it down. Looking good. All right, so I'm going to change that to our grass layer. All right, and from here, I'm just going to duplicate down for the actual rock portion. So if we scale in the Z direction and move it up, you'll start to see, if we change the layer, obviously, let's change it to rock, you'll start to see the mountain range kind of appearing from the grass layer. Now, and also you'll see there's a straight line, which that doesn't happen necessarily in nature. So what we do is just scale, basically, uniformly, and you'll start to see the variation starting to happen, even though there's the same form, just like that. So you see parts kind of appearing and disappearing. Now, if you were to do it smaller, I did it larger the last time, you'll start to get, which layer am I on? Oh, let's do the rock layer. If you do smaller, you'll see the grass is kind of going away in some areas, right? It's pretty helpful on those. What I think I'm going to do, just on this particular portion, is do a kind of just a hair bigger. So we get this nice valley happening through here. Okay. And through this little canyon, what I want to do is just add maybe a glacier kind of creek or something through here. So I'm just going to select all through here. Hit OK. Have it kind of come around the bend here. Empty out. All we need to do is just pull that down just a bit. Awesome. And then we're going to make a plane for some water. Okay, we'll just lower that down just a bit. Just like that. And then on our grass layer, we're going to split it. Okay. And then this new surface here, that's going to be our kind of rock bottom there. So the pebble layer. And we'll just bring this a little bit lower. That's going to be our water. Awesome. And then I'm going to unlock everything. And what I want this to do, basically, is be kind of like this. Let's try to make it almost like a space alien. So I'm going to pick our view in which we see fit here. Okay, I want to rotate this around so we get kind of that hole through the center. A little bit in there, right? Let's try that again. That looks pretty cool. All right, let's scale it up even more. Awesome. Very cool. And now with the landscape, what I want to do, I'm going to lock our model down. What I want to do now is just scale it in one direction so we give our model some space. Okay. So it's kind of just a floating kind of thing here. That might be a little bit too much, so I'm going to bring it in. I want it to be kind of nested in these hills. It's all right to touch a little bit in some areas. Looks cool. All right, and we are all set for Lumion. All right, so it imported to Lumion seamlessly, looking pretty good. So let's start adding materials. So first things first, let's get the grass done. Wait for that to load up. We'll do various, do some wild grass. And I don't know if this is going to be kind of a semi-aerial or not. So I'm going to make the grass relatively big. So it looks like it's kind of creeping up over the rockscape there. For the rocks, let's go to rock material. See what looks good on each one of these. Looks like the scale is really, really big on all these. Let's try this one. Scale that down. Looks pretty good. Kind of mossy. I'm going to rotate it a little bit so we have a little bit more rock. That looks pretty good. Okay, and then we'll turn the relief map up all the way. Okay, next the water. This water looks fine, but it looks more like an ocean rather than kind of a river. Blue, black doesn't look the greatest. Let's turn the scale up a little bit on here. There we go. Wave scale just a hair bigger, so it looks like it's kind of rushing. And then let's get these, the underbelly of the water there. I forgot to scale, so that's why we're doing a lot of map scales in here. That looks pretty good. Those footprints, I don't want any footprints. Scale that down. That looks pretty good. We'll barely even see it anyway, so whatever. Okay, and then let's change these materials up. So let's go to indoor metal. Let's change that to bronze. Get a nice kind of red hue with all the green in there. This one, let's see if they got any kind of black metal. That might look cool. Let's do the same thing for this one maybe. What else do they have on here? Titanium might look pretty cool. I'm going to colorize these just a bit, make them darker than what they should be. Okay, do the same for this one. Not so light. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. Let's check to see if the materials look actually pretty good in here. They do look pretty cool. Kind of aquatic. Okay, let's just set up a rendering while we're here. So the FX, let's get our camera straight. Let's see, what else do we need here? Put a sun in there. What's that looking like? A little bit dark. Change the heading here. There we go. Still a little bit dark. What's real skies just look like? A little dark too. Let's see here, sun height. Let's turn that down so we can get some light into it. Okay, let's turn up the brightness of the sun. Okay, let's see what the issue is here. Just kind of rendering dark. Okay, that's all right. What we can do is actually change that bronze to like gold or something if we need to later. Okay, and then let's do kind of a snowy thing. So it looks, the scene inherently kind of looks almost, I don't know, jungle-like. So let's kind of make a kind of a false world here. Just like that. And then let's turn that fog up. Not that far. See what that's starting to look like. It's looking pretty cool. I'm going to turn down the particle quality, the quantity. That's looking pretty sweet. I don't know if our texture map on here is totally correct, but it's all right. think that is our view. I want to be able to see some landscape though, so I'm going to change our focal length out. Just like that. It's pretty cool. Tone down that fog again. Looks pretty nice. If we turn that up again. Bring our camera high. Yeah, it's looking pretty good so far. Awesome. We'll just save that for now. Let's add some trees in there. All right. Let's go to our nature. Let's do conifers. Let's see. Maybe we'll just paint them in. Let's see here. I wonder why our mouse isn't on the brush there. There we go. Weird. All right. Just start painting, I guess. Unless they're not showing up. I don't need those out there. Must be a scale issue. So we can just leave those, but we'll just kind of paste them just like this. Where are they going? On the ground. Well, I'm not sure why that's happening. Well, guess we'll just paste them by hand. Definitely a scale issue. That's fine. Nothing wrong with hand modeling. Okay. Well, the other way is easier, that's for sure. And we'll get some trees out over in here. Won't be able to see a majority of that, but that's all right. And the good thing about Lumion, it rotates the trees automatically. It scales them slightly different, so they're not all the same. All right. And what else do we want to do? Let's put some plants in. These look pretty good. Let's see if that works now. Nope. Okay. Let's just get some kind of in here. Little patches everywhere. Just so it's not so green. Basically what I'm trying to do. The snow will help, but still a lot of green in the scene. Okay. Get some through here. And a few through here. All right, and then let's put a down tree somewhere. Make it quite a bit larger. Rotate it so we can see it in our camera. Maybe a couple of them. And what else? Maybe a log. And let's throw some rocks in maybe. Texture map must not be working. Scale that down. Get kind of sets of them. Maybe this one's the big one. So what other rocks do we have? It's alright if they intersect too. Alright, do one here maybe. One here, rotate that around just slightly. What other rocks? Maybe some flat ones too. Some out in the distance here. Yep, too small. It's nice. Let's see. Here's a big one. Maybe it's right in the cliff there. Yeah, that'll look good. Maybe one over here. This looks like a good one too. Too big. I'm gonna block that other rock just a bit so we get variations in there. I think that's looking pretty cool. I think some more of those bush things around would help out. Just kind of randomly. Maybe some bigger ones. That's by accident. They're bigger because I was playing with the scale earlier. Let's bring it down. Maybe a couple through here. Different scales. And let's bring down the small one. What I'm trying to do is just pull the eye towards the center here, compositionally with the plants. Just like that. Okay. And let's add maybe some birds in. Do some pigeons, although I don't know if pigeons would be here. I'm just going to do a couple clusters of these. Okay, we'll select all those, bring them up so we can see them. I don't quite see them yet. Get them up a little higher. There we go. Move them back. Can you see them? Kinda. Let's bring them up higher. There we go. And we'll add a person for scale. Hopefully someone with a coat on since it's snowing. That looks good. Maybe make her just a hair bigger. Just off to the side. Okay, and then I'm gonna mess with the bronze material. Let's make it gold. Turn down the reflectivity. Make it gold for now. And turn down that just a bit. The gloss is fine. Let's see what our render is starting to look like. Very nice. Much better, much better. That's looking good. The only problem is we're starting to see the end of our actual model. So we need to turn down our focal length. Since we put in all the detail anyway, we should probably kind of utilize it. So that's looking pretty good. A bit crazy. Looks great. Can't really see the birds, but that's totally fine. I'm just glad the lighting's working. Let's mess with the sun height here just a hair. Okay, the sun heading, I want to get some nice shadows off the hills that we created. Okay, and then the fog might be a little bit too foggy. We're losing a lot of contrast in there. Oop, wrong one. We can add fog in Photoshop anyway. That's looking pretty good. Again, the sun I'm going to keep messing with just a bit. Let's bring it lower. And then what if we turn off our real skies? That looks a lot better. Let's add some clouds in. low clouds. Okay. I don't like all the pink, but we can adjust that in Photoshop. That's looking pretty good to me. What happens if we had two different points of... There we go. That kind of does away. That's looking pretty good to me. Awesome. So one thing I might do is just add a few things in the foreground there. It looks a little empty. So let's just go back. And if we move here, let's add some kind of plants with some color in them. I think these have a little bit of color. Could be wrong. Yeah, they do. A little bit of reds in there. Might be a little bit too big. Let's do that again. A little too big. Let's just populate it through here. Put some in front of the rocks there. And I put some out in here. And why don't we add a farm animal or a dog or something? Maybe a horse. Sense of scale. There we go. How's that looking? Oh shoot, I didn't save our camera position from the last time. It's about the same. Horse kind of disappears there. I'm going to save this real quick. We'll adjust where that horse is. I didn't notice there was a plant. Oh, you might not be able to move stuff in this mode. Let's just go back, move it. Could probably just delete those plants too. Okay, delete. There we go. Excellent. That's what we want. Let's play with the snow just a bit more. See if it looks better. Looks kind of better this way. Kind of wet. Yeah, kind of like that. Bring up the snow just a bit more. Maybe some snow kind of coming down. A little bit more snow. Just a bit. If we go all the way. So this is just... I don't know what phase does, I guess. Turn the snow down again. Sorry, I'm picky. Takes forever. That looks pretty good to me. I'm going to just kind of straighten this out just a bit so it's kind of our focal point. Excellent. I think that's the one that hits the spot there. Okay, so we'll hit render. And we should be all set for Photoshop. All right, so I actually ended up changing the outside material to kind of a whiter color just because it was coming in way too dark at the last minute and I accidentally clicked off the recording. So just act like I rendered that white. And so I guess through here, we're just going to play with the burn tool and dodge. So we're going to just kind of lighten up the gold areas so we get some nice color variations through there. You'll see there, everything's starting to stick out nice and clean. And the sky, it's not really a blue sky day, so I'm gonna just kind of paint that out with the dodge tool. Just like that. Still a little bit of blue, but since it's kind of a snowy day. And then the foreground here, I'm gonna really highlight the heck out of it. Like, let's get some those greens really popping out, especially on the cliff side here. So just dodging away. Okay. Through here as well. And then the lady in the foreground, so she doesn't go mist, I'm gonna kind of saturate out her jacket so we get kind of a red point. So it moves your eye around the picture quite a bit. And then through, I guess, that waterway, what I want to do is add a new layer. Basically, we're going to kind of just paint in some fog using the brush command. So typically when I do foggy areas, I'll do one layer, and then do a second layer, and have it kind of just ghost away, just like that. And from here, all you need to do is turn down the layer in the back to some low number, and then the layer in the front, turn it down even further, get that kind of mist effect happening. And then I'll take my eraser button here, kind of clean it off our model that we created. Do the same for the back layer, make that nice and crisp. And then through here, what I'm going to do is just kind of clearly define that kind of ridge line going through there. Just a little bit of fog. And we can do the same thing for even, the mountaintops there. Kind of add in almost like a cloud layer. Just like so. What if there's one through here? Make it kind of smoky. Up through there. You can do the same, maybe just a hair in the background. Okay. Trying to keep our model consistent. Okay. And then maybe we just have a couple little foggy areas coming over the stream area. Awesome. Okay, let's throw some highlights on these rocks a little bit so they stick out. Pop some color into there. That's great. That's looking great. All right, and then the finishing touch, do a little vignetting. Move that layer all the way to the top there. Press my X button so we have the dark at the top. And I'm just going to do a free transform, Control T, hold Shift, stretch that up a little bit so it's not so dark up there. And then, as always, I'm going to hit Control J. Let's just check to see if the auto tone makes it look better or worse. I'm going to go with better. Let's do auto color, better or worse. I don't know about that. Might be better. Warm it up a little bit. Let's do auto contrast again, and then let's just do auto tone one more time. And I believe that's it. So everyone, thanks for watching. We'll be doing more and more of these, hopefully, if time allows. And I hope you're all having a great weekend, and I will be talking to you soon. Thank you.